Then Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, went...
Jerubbaal was a nickname for Gideon, because he threw down the altar of Baal. Forgot exactly what it meant. I think I should say here. I don't know. I mean, check out yesterday's video and you'll see. All right.
Went to Shechem, to his mother's brothers, and spoke with them and with all the family of the house of his mother's father.
Please speak in the hearing of all the men of Shechem. Which is better for you, that all 70 of the sons of Jerubbaal reign over you, or that one reign over you? Remember that I am your own flesh and bone.
And his mother's brothers spoke all these words concerning him in the hearing of all the men of Shechem. And their heart was inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, "He is our brother." So they gave him 70 shekels of silver from the temple of Baal-berith, of which Abimelech hired worthless and reckless men.
Wait, and let's go back a little bit. Then Abimelech, the son of Jerubbaal, went to Shechem, to his mother's brothers, to his uncles, and spoke with them and with all the family of the house of his mother's father, saying, "Please speak in the hearing of all the men of Shechem. Which is better for you, that all 70 sons of Jerubbaal reign over you, or that one reign over you?" Right? That's interesting, right? That basically he's saying is, which one of your nephews is going to reign over you, right? Remember that I am your flesh and bone. So it's an interesting dynamic, how a nephew is talking to his uncle. And all his mother's brothers spoke all these words concerning him in the hearing of all the men of Shechem. And their heart was inclined to follow Abimelech, right? It's an interesting dynamic, right? I've never seen this before. For they said, "He is our brother." And he is not their brother, right? Because they're his mother's brothers, so they're his uncle. But brother in a sense that he's one of us, one of our people.
So they gave him 70 shekels of silver from the temple of Baal-berith, of which Abimelech hired worthless and reckless men. And they followed him. Then he went to his father's house at Ophrah and killed his brothers, the 70 sons of Jerubbaal.
What? This is like some Itachi type, Uchiha clan type. What is going on here?
Then he went to his father's house at Ophrah and killed his brothers, the 70 sons of Jerubbaal, on one stone. But Jotham,
on one stone? What does that mean? Did they have like killing stones where they had like you put the like an execution block? What does that mean on one stone? Let's see if this Bible has an explanation. Chapter 9, verse 5, sorry. Doesn't say. But the temple of Baal-berith was a pagan sanctuary, a vivid sign of Israel's continuing apostasy. Worthless and reckless men, Abimelech's character can certainly be judged by the company that he kept. The same can be said of Jephthah. But what is the killing? What is on one stone? I don't know. That's not that significant. So let's keep going.
Sons of Jerubbaal on one stone. But Jotham, the youngest son of Jerubbaal, was left because he hid himself.
Okay.
And all the men of Shechem gathered together, all of Beth Millo, and they went and made Abimelech king, beside the terebinth tree at the pillar that was in Shechem.
Well, I mean, he didn't really leave much choice, He just killed 70 of his. He killed 68 of his brothers. So I mean, they're pretty freaked out by now.
Now, when they told Jotham, he went and stood on top of Mount Gerizim, and lifted his voice and cried out,
"Listen to me, you men of Shechem, that God may listen to you. The trees once went forth to anoint a king over them. And they said to the olive tree,
Who is Jotham?
reign over us.
Who is Jotham? The only brother of Abimelech who escaped. I mean, I think they just said that. I am...
But the olive tree said to them, should I cease giving my oil, with which they honor God and men, and go to sway over trees? Then the tree said to the fig tree, you come and reign over us. But the fig tree said to them, should I cease my sweetness and my good fruit, and go to sway over trees? Then the trees said to the vine, you come and reign over us. But the vine said to them, should I cease my new wine, which cheers both God and men, and go to sway over trees? Then all the trees said to the bramble, you come and reign over us. And the bramble said to the trees, if in truth you anoint me as king over you, then come and take shelter in my shade. But if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. Now therefore...
What is bramble? Maybe I'm missing the... I'm not really getting the... A prickly shrub of the genus Rubus of the rose family, including the blackberry and the raspberry. A brambleberry. A bramble is any rough, tangled, prickly shrub. Okay.
If you have acted in truth and sincerity in making Abimelech king, and if you have dealt well with Jerubbaal and his house, and have done to him as he deserves, for my father fought for you, risked his life, and delivered you out of the hand of Midian. But you have risen up against my father's house this day, and killed his 70 sons on one stone, and made Abimelech the son of his...
Who is Jotha addressing? That was his name, right? Who is he addressing? Jotham. Now when they told Jotham, he went and stood on top of Mount Gerizim and lifted his voice and cried out. But Jotham, the youngest son of Jerubbaal, was left because he hid himself. And all of the men of Shechem gathered. Okay, so all the men of Shechem, that's who he's addressing. All of Beth Millo, and they went and made Abimelech king beside the terebinth tree at the pillar that was in Shechem. Listen to me, you men of Shechem. That's who he's addressing. Okay.
Fire come out of the bramble. You have risen up against my father, because he is your brother.
But you've risen up against my father's house today and killed his 70 sons on one stone. Okay, so makes sense. Abimelech didn't do it personally. He didn't go in and sneakily kill all his brothers. He had men that he went with him, and they killed his brothers. Okay, because it's saying here, and you guys, the men of Shechem, killed the 70 sons on one stone, and then made Abimelech, the son of his female servant, king over the men of Shechem. Okay, because he is your brother.
If then you have acted in truth and sincerity with Jerubbaal and...
Okay, so probably the female servant was of Shechem, right? Shechem, a Canaanite and Israelite city mentioned in the Amarna letters. Where exactly which tribe was Shechem in? Oh man, I misspelled everything. Maybe it might be here. The area of Shechem, but where was Shechem located? Shechem was the location where Abram stopped the tree. Okay, but after that, Shechem became part of the promised land, was given to the Kohathites, and served as the Levitical city of refuge. So it is one of the... Okay. Shechem was a place where Joseph's remains were buried during the time... Okay, so Shechem was a place where Joseph is buried. Which tribe was that, though? Well, Levitical city of refuge. As to the rest of the Kohathites belonging to the Kohathite clans of the Levites, the cities allotted to them were out of the tribe of Ephraim. Okay. Ephraim, all right.
And killed his 70 sons on one stone, and made Abimelech, the son of his female servant, king over the men of Shechem, because he is your brother. If then you have acted in truth and sincerity with Jerubbaal and with his house this day, then rejoice in Abimelech, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come from Abimelech, and devour the men of Shechem and Beth Millo, and let fire come from the men of Shechem and from Beth Millo, and devour Abimelech.
And Jotham ran away and fled. And he went to
After saying that,
and dwelt there, for fear of Abimelech his brother. After Abimelech had reigned over Israel 3 years, God sent a spirit of ill will between Abimelech and the men of Shechem. And the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech, that the crime done to the 70 sons of Jerubbaal might be settled, and their blood be laid on Abimelech their brother, who killed them, and on the men of Shechem who aided him in the killing of his brothers. And the men of Shechem set men in ambush against him on the tops of the mountains. And they...
I'm sure like the whole principle of the cities of refuge are not even in existence anymore. All those old laws are probably just gone with the wind because Israel has forgotten everything.
They robbed all who passed by them along that way. And it was told Abimelech. Now Gaal, the son of Ebed, came with his brothers and went over to Shechem. And the men of Shechem put their confidence in him. So they went out into the fields, and gathered grapes from their vineyards, and trod them, and made merry. And they went into the house of their God, and ate and drank, and cursed Abimelech. Then Gaal, the son of Ebed, said,
Who is Abimelech, and who is Shechem, that we should serve him? Is he not the son of Jerubbaal, and is not Zebul his officer? Serve the men of Hamor, the father of Shechem. But why should we serve him? If only this people were under my authority, then I would remove Abimelech.
So he said to Abimelech,
Increase your army, and come out.
When Zebul, the ruler of the city, heard the words of Gaal, the son of Ebed...
Everything is just a mess now, but they're just like... It's just people eating their own kind, you know what I mean? Like... There's no good versus bad. It's just bad killing bad. Like it's just a mess now.
And come out.
When Zebul, the ruler of the city, heard the words of Gael, the son of Ebed, his anger was aroused, and he sent messengers to Abimelech secretly.
Take note, Gael, the son of Ebed, and his brothers have come to Shechem, and here they are, fortifying the city against you. Now therefore, get up by night, you and the people who are with you, and lie and wait in the field. And it shall be, as soon as the sun is up in the morning, that you shall rise early and rush upon the city. And when he and the people who are with him come out against you, you may then do to them as you find opportunity.
So Abimelech and all the people who were with him rose by night and lay in wait against Shechem in 4 companies. When Gael, the son of Ebed, went out and stood in the entrance to the city gate, Abimelech and the people who were with him rose from lying in wait. And when Gael saw the people, he said to Zebul,
Look! People are coming down from the tops of the mountains.
You see the shadows of the mountains as if they were men.
See? People are coming down from the center of the land.
Notice there's no reference to God anywhere, right? There's no consulting of God in the plan or how things are going to go down or any of that stuff, which is all paganism right now.
And another company is coming from the diviner's terebinth tree.
Where indeed is your mouth now, with which you said, Who is Abimelech that we should serve him? Are not these the people whom you despised? Go out, if you will, and fight with them now.
So Gael went out, leading the men of Shechem, and fought with Abimelech. And Abimelech chased him, and he fled from him. And many fell wounded to the very entrance of the gate. Then Abimelech dwelt at Arunah, and Zebul drove out Gael and his brothers, so that they would not dwell in Shechem. And it came about on the next day that the people went out into the field, and they told Abimelech. So he took his people, divided them into 3 companies, and lay in wait in the field. And he looked, and there were the people coming out of the city, and he rose against them and attacked them. Then Abimelech and the company that was with him rushed forward and stood at the entrance of the gate of the city. And the other 2 companies rushed upon all who were in the fields and killed them. So Abimelech fought against the city all that day. He took the city and killed the people who were in it. And he demolished the city and sowed it with salt.
With salt? Why sowed it with salt?
Now, when all the men of the Tower of Shechem had heard that, they entered the stronghold of the temple of the god Berith. And it was told Abimelech that all the men of the Tower of Shechem were gathered together.
All right, here they have an explanation. Sowing Shechem with salt turned it into a barren, uninhabitable desert. It says here, see Jeremiah 17:6 for the association of salt and barrenness. So we'll get to that.
Now, when all the men of the Tower of Shechem had heard that, they entered the stronghold of the temple of the god Berith. And it was told Abimelech that all the men of the Tower of Shechem were gathered together. Then Abimelech went up to Mount Zalmon, he and all the people who were with him. And Abimelech took an axe in his hand and cut down a bough from the trees, and took it and laid it on his shoulder. Then he said to the people who were with him,
What you have seen me do, make haste and do as I have done.
So each of the people likewise cut down his own bough and followed Abimelech, put them against the stronghold, and set the stronghold on fire above them, so that all the people of the Tower of Shechem died, about 1,000 men and women.
No mercy.
Abimelech went to Thebez, and he encamped against Thebez and took it. But there was a strong tower in the city.
Like, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I can't be like, okay, wow, congratulations on the victory, because Abimelech's not a nice guy. And, I mean, the people he's taken over are not nice either. So, I mean, in the sense, if you're playing a team-based game, right? If you're saying, team God is the good guys, and then everything else is the bad guys, we're in the everything else is the bad guys territory, where everybody fighting right now, they're just in that pool. So it's like, I don't know how to feel right now.
But there was a strong tower in the city, and all the men and women, all the people of the city fled there and shut themselves in. Then they went up to the top of the tower. So Abimelech came as far as the tower and fought against it. And he drew near the door of the tower to burn it with fire. But a certain woman dropped an upper millstone on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull.
Oh!
Then he called quickly to the young man, his armor-bearer.
Oh, draw your sword.
Oh my gosh.
And kill me, lest men say of me, a woman killed him. Oh.
So his young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Israel saw that Abimelech was dead, they departed, every man to his place. Thus God repaid the wickedness of Abimelech, which he had done to his father by killing his 70 brothers. And all the evil of the men of Shechem God returned on their own heads. And on them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal.
And all the evil of the men of Shechem God returned on their own heads, and on them came the curse of Jotham, the son of Jerubbaal. What Jotham had said, we saw that. All right, let's jump into chapter 10.
After Abimelech, there arose to save Israel Tola, the son of Pur, the son of Doda, a man of Issachar, and he dwelt in Shemo, in the mountains of Ephraim. He judged Israel 23 years, and he died and was buried in Shemo.
Was he a pagan also?
After him arose Jair,
I would imagine
a Gileadite, and he judged Israel 22 years. Now
we're jumping through the years fast.
Who rode on 30 donkeys. They also had 30 towns, which are called Havoth Jair to this day, which are in the land of Gilead. And Jair died and was buried in Camon.
Seems like
the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord.
What did they do?
And served the Baals and the Ashtoreths, the gods of Syria, the gods of Sidon, the gods
they've been
of
serving
Moab,
idols this whole
the
time.
gods of the people of Ammon, and the gods of the Philistines. And they forsook the Lord, and did not serve him. So the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into
I feel
the
like
hands
Israel
of
has been pagan longer than they have served God at this point. This is insane.
Philistines, and into the hands of the people of Ammon. From that year they harassed and oppressed the children of Israel for 18 years. All the children of Israel who were on the other side of the Jordan, in the land of the Amorites, in Gilead.
I want to know when are the children of Israel going to remember who God is, and who's going to do that? Who's going to remind them, and who's going to guide them back on track? I'm waiting. I want to know.
Moreover, the people of Ammon crossed over the Jordan to fight against Judah also, against Benjamin, and against the house of Ephraim, so that Israel was severely distressed. And the children of Israel cried out to the Lord,
"We have sinned against you. because we have both forsaken our God and served the Baals.
So the Lord said to the children of Israel,
Did I not deliver you from the Egyptians, and from the Amorites, and from the people of Ammon, and from the Philistines? Also the Sidonians and Amalekites.
They always fall back. They fall back to God when things are tough. I mean, we do that today. Everybody does that. So you can't knock it against them. But I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised they even remembered God for how many decades they've been without Him. I'm sure that there is a population or a segment of the children of Israel who still worship God. So they know what they still know, like the existence is not completely gone. So.
Also the Sidonians and Amalekites and Maonites oppressed you, and you cried out to me, and I delivered you from their hand. Yet you have forsaken me, and served other gods. Therefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry out to the gods which you have chosen. Let them deliver you in your time of distress.
Go and cry out to the gods which you have chosen. Let them deliver you in your time of distress. Oh.
We have sinned. Do to us whatever seems best to you. Only deliver us this day, we pray.
So we have sinned. Do to us whatever seems best to you. Just do this, what we want you to do, is essentially what they're saying.
So they put away the foreign gods from among them and served the Lord.
Okay.
And
they're going to fall back
could
again.
no longer endure the misery of Israel. Then the people of Ammon gathered together and encamped in Gilead. And the children of Israel assembled together and encamped in Mizpah.
So much.
And the people, the leaders of Gilead, said to one another,
Who is the man who will begin the fight against the people of Ammon? He shall be head over all the inhabitants of Gilead.
All right, I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. So that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow we're going to jump into chapter 11. And the title of that is Jephthah. I'm assuming that's another of the judges. So maybe, hopefully Jephthah delivers us and leads us back to God. And I mean, we're serving God right now. Hopefully it stays that way for a decent amount of time, right? We don't want to see them fall back again and get consumed with idolatry and then need to be delivered again. All right, so that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow we're going to jump into chapter 11. Hope you guys enjoyed today's reading. I'll see you guys tomorrow, all right? Take care. Goodbye.